Well, I made it back to Alaska, and wow, what a trip. It's beautiful. Montana, North Dakota, went through Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, southern Missouri, and then I was through the Yukon, British Columbia, then into Alaska. But what's the cost? I mean, what's it cost to drive that thing? I mean, just one way. Well, I'm going to go over that with you today, and all of the stuff that goes into a trip like that. And but I mean, when you're adding it up, is it cheaper to fly here, or is it cheaper to drive? I mean, what's it cost? What's it cost for your equipment? All that. So what are the costs of traveling to Alaska? I'll start the second part with a story. So it's probably 2010, 11, I don't know exactly, but we're coming back into Alaska, my wife and I, and 4 or 5 kids that we had with us. And we come around this corner, and there's an older couple with an RV that's totally upside down on a curve. It's like a Winnebago, upside down. And he's standing there beside the road, scratching his head. And his wife's standing there, and they're lost their camper. It's totally flattened, and they're standing there. And so part of the biggest cost is when you're definitely driving to Alaska, is your rig is going to get beat to crap. And I left southern Missouri with 3,700 miles to go. It was about 34 to 3,700. So what I figured, it's about $1.25 per mile. Then you add in the food costs, the repairs that you're going to have to do along the way. Campgrounds add up, and the biggest expense is going to be gas. So I figured, I knew the gas price was high. I always seem to travel when diesel's over $5 a gallon. But I traveled, and I think the trip cost $4,000, a little more than 4,000. So that's what you're going to expect to cost just one way with gas prices this high. Now, if it's $2.50 a gallon, $2.78 a gallon, then you're half of that. But now with the gas prices so high, yeah, that's what you're going to pay. So what's the best vehicle to travel to Alaska? Is it something like this? Or is it something like this? So, the Subaru is great because it, gets high gas mileage, but you got to sleep in the car or rent hotel rooms. But my truck's been has been a Duramax diesel. And it's been awesome. It's bulletproof. But a couple things that make the trip really, really good is that make sure you have extra tires. Usually 2 spares for your truck, extra serpentine belt, and all the tools you'll need to do brakes, everything like that. And then, of course, you're gonna, get chips in your windshield. I didn't this time. The windshield lasted, but the bugs were incredible. By the time you leave North Dakota, you get into British Columbia, your front of your rig is just going to be coated with bugs. I mean, that's after I cleaned them off. And I've been up here for a week in Alaska, so. But yeah, if you have a low clearance vehicle, like a newer car with low clearance, they're going to get beat up. You might even ground it out and wreck something on the bottom of it. And also, talking about tires can make or break your trip. If you spend $300 on a tire, or get a cheap tire, it can really make or break your trip. So I was, dogs are barking across the street, but I was coming, let's see, I got another story for you. So I was coming down, we were leaving Alaska, and we were going into the Yukon, and I had the kids with me again, the wife, and we just crossed over, and it was late October, so there was hardly anybody on the road. And I come across this truck pulling a trailer, and he's going 5 miles an hour. And I look down because I'm passing him, and he's got one flat tire, and he's driving his whole rig on this flat tire 5 miles an hour, and he's like 200 miles from Whitehorse or 100 miles from Whitehorse. And it's like, holy cow. So I pull up alongside of him and I talk to him, and he says, well, I don't have a spare tire. So we gave him one of our spare tires because luckily it fit, and he was able to get to Whitehorse, and he was so thankful. But what he told me is that, you know, he came up to Alaska to work and do all these things, but the guy he was here to visit was a drunk, and so he was a contractor, and so he basically was leaving Alaska, and he didn't plan well for the tires. And I mean, that just almost ruined him, because he would have had to drive 100 miles on a flat tire, basically the rim. Okay, the next thing I'd like to go over on the trip to Alaska is if you're pulling a rig like a boat. This is the boat I was pulling. It's a Silver Streak. Between Whitehorse and Dead Horse Lake in the United States, which is outside of Tok, my trailer had 4 or 5 things that happened to it, and just 100 miles or 200 mile trip. So the tires went bad. I don't know if you can see that. See how the uneven tire tread? Yeah. So your tires get beat to crap. And then over here, this railing. You see how I had to fix that? That the metal busted on the railing. Can you believe that? And then after the metal busted right here, so the bolt right here, put a hole in the aluminum. So that's another thing that happened. And then back here, the light broke off. The metal just broke apart. And then up here, the rubber grommet that goes in the front, right here, it got eaten away and broke. I mean, this is an older trailer, right, with an older boat, but these things happen. And then these bolts all over here, which is my stand to get up into the boat, all fell apart. A couple of them came off. And so it's like, you know, it's just a constant. So I had to literally stop the boat and fix everything. And because I didn't have lights on, you know, it's just, you better have the tools when you're traveling the Alaska highway. So these are must-haves when you're traveling: air compressor, lug wrench, tire plug kit, jumper pack, extra oil for the engine, coolant, fuel filter, air filters, work gloves, great jack, maybe 2 jacks, all wrenches and breaker bars, electric drill, bolts, flashlights, generator, electric cords, extra gas for your car. That's just for the diesel engine, you know. And then non-essentials that you need are like a wood saw, power impact wrenches, bolts, U-bolts, and maybe a larger jack if you have to jack something up. But if you're doing like for your trailer, and I would call this a trailer survival kit, I would have extra lug nuts, hub grease, wheel bearings, grease gun, trailer lights, I could have used the trailer lights. Electrical connectors and wire bulbs, assorted bulbs and nuts, duct tape and zip ties. That's just for the trailer survival kit. One of these little parts can leave you, if you don't have them, can leave you stranded on the road. And luckily, when I got to Dead Horse, I could fix the railing on the boat. And, you know, of course, I had only one light. And, you know, in Alaska in the summer in June, it's sunshine all the time. So it wasn't a huge deal having one light. So that's just some thoughts on taking your trailer from Alaska down to the U.S. So, how do you save yourself from total annihilation with your rig and your, you know, trailer you're pulling? Well, here's a couple things that I keep in mind. And I've been up and down the Alaska Highway, I don't know, 10, 15 times between there. But from Whitehorse to Etoke, Alaska, here's a couple things you need to realize. Drive 20 to 40. Don't drive 60. If you drive 60, your mind plays with you because you're going to come up to a dead heave where there's this heave in the road and it doesn't look like it. And your whole car is going to bottom out and just torch your bottom end of your vehicle. In the construction zones, a lot of times there's no flagger standing there waiting there, right? So there might be a sign that says, wait here for the pilot car. And on the way up this time, we were the second car that pulled up, and this lady gets out of her RV and she runs up to us, and I was outside stretching, and she goes, what do we do? We've been waiting here 8 minutes. And she goes, 8 minutes? And I'm like, okay. She says, I don't see anybody up ahead. What do we do? It says wait here. I'm like, yeah, we should probably wait here. She says, well, what if you went first and we'll follow you? And I'm like, no, it's construction. You know, a lot of times in Alaska or the Yukon, there's no flagger guy standing there or lady. You just have to literally wait for the pilot car to come because you can't see them. They're 10 miles down the road. You know, that's where the problem is. And so they have you wait. So don't get impatient. And then if you are passing somebody, make sure when you pass, don't cut right back in front of the vehicle because you're going to just throw up rocks onto their windshield and just trash their whole windshield. Make sure when you pass that you have lots of room to keep going on the left side of the road and get by them. And that's always bugs me when I'm traveling Alaska Highway. Somebody's literally going to cut right back in front of you and they throw up a rock right on your windshield. Boom. Then you got a big crack in your windshield. So, but just never drive 60 in between Etoke and Whitehorse. You can do it. You can go fast if you got a brand new rig and everything's fine. But if you're driving a low vehicle or an older vehicle like my truck, I don't go fast at all. I bent an axle because I was going too fast. I don't know if you can. I really don't need you, but you know where the shocks hook into the axle? Well, that's all bent because I hit something and I was going too fast, especially with my rig. So, and if you're wondering what's on top, that's I put a extra storage because you know you got storage in your boat, but then let's go up top and look. And I covered all that with plywood so it wouldn't fly off, and I still had something fly off. And then we got a place for wood on top, so extra storage is good. So the next thing I want to talk about is RV parks are expensive. Okay, staying overnight in a hotel are expensive. It's going to add a lot to your trip. And RV parks for the basic, just a plot of gravel, are $15 to $45 a night, right? And that's US. And with hookups, it's 45 to 80 or higher. And premium spots on lakes, and they're going to be closer to $100. And so I'll tell you a short story. So I'm going into a town called where was it? Outside of Edmonton. And every parking lot they have, don't stay camp here, we're going to tow your car away or whatever. And how you get around that is usually I find a highly populated area with a strip mall or some sort of a behind the strip mall kind of thing. And if you just pull in behind the strip mall, there's no signs and nobody's back there because that's where the employees park. And a lot of times I can find a nice quiet spot there. And then of course, Walmarts or big superstores will let you stay there. But a lot of times even Walmarts now won't let you do it because there's a lot of riffraff. But I usually don't get bothered if I, stay in some sort of strip mall area where it's behind, because a lot of the employees have gone home, and if you're there from like 10 o'clock at night to like 6 in the morning, nobody's even there. And another funny thing I want to tell you, so when you get into the British Columbia or the Yukon, there's this place called Liard River and Liard River Hot Springs. Well, when you get to the campground, it's almost always full. And it's a beautiful area to go and, sit in the hot water, and it's great. But a lot of times the campground is full. And so right across the street from the hot springs, they got an overflow, and they wanted $45 a night Canadian to stay there. And a half a mile down the road, they have these open spaces right next to the woods that you can stay for free. So once you cross the Liard River in the Yukon there, and you're coming into Liard River Hot Springs, just realize you don't have to stay in the campground. And they just charge like $5 to walk in and use the spa. So if you're on a budget and you want to stay away from the campground there, you can do that. And that's the way it is all the way up the Yukon and into British Columbia and into Alaska. There's always these pullouts that are basically free. All right, this next section is called the mental game of traveling to Alaska. Sure, you got your rig, you got your trailer you're pulling, but what's the mental game? Nobody talks to you about driver fatigue or, what happens when you're on your trip, right? Nobody talks about that. Well, the first couple days, you're always stopping and, you want to look at this and look at that. But after 4 or 5 days of this, and you're literally, when you get into like Minnesota, northern Minnesota, North Dakota, Montana, into Saskatchewan up there, it's a lot of fields, a lot of trees, a lot of cows, not much to look at. So tips are, stay hydrated on your trip. Realize that when you get into the wilderness, you're going to have to watch out for animals crashing into things. And I always say, avoid big sugar dumps. Like if you're eating a lot of candy bars and stuff like that, you're just going to get tired and sleepy. So stay hydrated, and I always eat sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds keep you awake, and they're cheap. And when you get tired, you start eating sunflower seeds, nuts, fruit, beef jerky, cheese, and that stuff. When you're chomping on something, you usually don't go to sleep, so that'll keep you going. And the big thing is that if you're going between 50 and 55, when you see an animal on the road, you can slow down and get pictures, and also you don't hit them. That extra half second of like, holy cow, here's a moose, whoa, it's funny. And I got to tell you a funny story. So my wife has been wanting to see a grizzly bear, up close for, the whole trip, right? Because she joined me in Minnesota on the way up. And we finally see our first grizzly bear, and she's so excited. I pull up alongside this thing, and it's walking alongside the road, and she forgets to turn her video camera on, and literally the grizzly walks up to 5 feet to the window, and I got my finger on the window switch to roll it up. And she's trying to video, and then the thing walks off, and then she looks at her camera, and she didn't even put the video on. She was so excited, but she forgot to she got one picture of it. So when you get out there, you're going to get excited when you see animals. Pull over and don't crash your vehicle, because once you start looking at things, you keep driving or you whatever, and somebody runs into you from behind, and just go slow, pull over, take a picture of the moose, the elk. They have bison up there too. There's a lot of bison up by Liard River Hot Springs. And there's lots of black bears. I think we saw, I don't know, 15 black bear with babies, cubs. So yeah, it's a mental game. Don't get too excited when you see wildlife. All right. At the end of this video, I'm gonna go over some secret weapons. This is what keeps you good on the trip. Is anytime you get by a lake or a river that's cold water, get in it. It'll wake you right up, and it keeps you healthy. I know you don't probably want to hear this, but cold water is good for the body, and it makes you feel good. And in the morning when you're getting up, make sure you go for a walk, get some fresh air, or run. Get on your bike if you have a bike. Go for a bike ride. Again, another secret weapon. Slow down. Go 55. And if you want cheap gas, look for Gas Buddy or Upside. These are apps. And the rules on the gas is when you get into British Columbia and Yukon, Alaska, never let your tank get below half. You know, there's plenty of gas on the trip, but once you get below half a tank, fill it up. Okay? And in the cities, how you find cheap gas is go for where all the population of people are. If you get into a city, and don't get gas right by the interstate or whatever, because that's gonna be most expensive. Drive into town a little bit, find a especially Edmonton, go into an area where there's lots of people, lots of gas stations, and you'll find cheapest gas. And the closing thoughts on this video is, you know, a lot of people drive to Alaska, and it's not a race. I know it can be if you're in a business and you're hauling stuff up and down, but if you're just like me, retired, take your time, enjoy it, take breaks, and you'll remember the bears and the moose and all that stuff more. And I wanted to tell you that the next video is going to be the release of the Alaska song, and I'll leave you with these words that are from the Alaska song. Can you hear the whisper from the wild Alaskan frontier? Come and see its beauty, come to be near. Wild mountain goats and frozen lakes. Oh, the grizzlies, they can roar. Come and see Denali. Make some memories in this wild Alaskan frontier. Peace out.